Today's episode is brought to you by 5D Presents, a podcast network for all your healing needs.
Welcome to the Advice for Lovers podcast. This is a show where people get excellent advice and find solutions to their relationship issues. Your resident guides for today are experienced relationship coaches and counselors Jennie and Drew. And now your hosts, Jennie and Drew.
While many find the information on this show helpful, it is, however, for entertainment purposes only.
Hi, I'm Drew, relationship counselor.
And I'm Jennie, relationship coach and psychic medium. Today, we're going to be talking about trouble in paradise, those situations where everything appears to be going well, and then something happens that can change everything.
Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, where everything seems to be good, and then surprise, here comes the other shoe dropping. Not that that happens in everyone's relationship, but it's common. So if you're ready, Jennie, let's jump right into it.
Let's go.
Okay, well, today's first topic is my best friend's ex is hitting on me. Best friend's ex is hitting on her, and apparently that's a problem for her. What do you think about that?
Well, best friend's ex. So ex is describing past, and we are only subjected to so many people in a day in our life, and we only have so much time to meet new people. So if there wasn't huge red flags, and maybe even if there was, take a peek and see if there's been healing. Some people do that, So I would say it's okay that it's happening. He's showing interest. That's how we do that in this life. But if she's uncomfortable with it, she should tell him to stop, and she's not interested. She doesn't date friend's ex. Or maybe take a peek and see what's going on in there. He's showing interest, which is a lot for someone to come out of their shell maybe and to make themselves vulnerable. So take it as a compliment, and then use your discernment skills of if you're into this person or not.
Right. I mean, the choices are do something about it or, set a boundary and leave it alone. I don't know if you noticed, but people have an issue with their friends dating their exes. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, and mostly it's just ego triggers. No one owns anyone. Your ego makes you think that you do. And the ego is our internal voice half of the time. So it sounds like it's given us good wisdom. Half of the time it's not. So I think it's just an insecurity thing that the person that is experiencing the jealousy or the discomfort needs to look at.
Yeah. And even, that sense of ownership, which, everybody's going to say, no, I don't feel that way. But that extends over into active relationships. Have you experienced or observed people in relationships who have all these rules, and it's almost like their mate is their property?
Yeah, it's insecurity and uncertainty, and it's a lot of ego energy. A healthy relationship holds on loosely, like that 1980s song, but they don't let go. It's more of a growth space, an open, heartful, loving space. And of course, there's going to be insecurities that come up. That's the design of a heartful relationship, is to work through those together. But yeah, no, that's heavy insecurity.
So beyond the obvious, which people would say, okay, this person has control issues, it's actually beneath all that is insecurity. That makes perfect sense, because if
Most of the time.
if a person's not under your control, then here's all this fear of what would they possibly do? I don't want to get hurt. If I let them have too much free range, next thing you know, I look up and everything's hurtful or out of control, and then I regret that I didn't just keep a short leash on it the whole time, which sounds horrible, but it's really common, especially, I hate to say it, among men. But I think women can do it too.
Of course, absolutely. It goes both ways for sure. But if you look at our past, women were just able to have a checking account in a lot of places in the 70s. That is 40 years ago. So I really do think that there's a lot of time under the patriarchy's belt of actually thinking they own women and that we're domestic slaves. I hate to be so dramatic, but it's in our past very clearly, and old tricks die hard. So the men are used to probably seeing some level of this in their family. Even if it's just slight, it's still dangerous to think that the man is the one in charge only and that he has all the answers. It's very stifling and limiting and unhealthy and insecure. So I think women's day has been coming, but it's definitely coming more and more the more independence we get. And I believe that started with birth control, where women, if they wanted to enjoy sex, didn't have to have a baby. They could
Mm.
enjoy living a life of freedom without all the restraints. And even people who love being parents will say, yes, they are a handful. They take a lot of time. They take up half of your existence. So,
Half of it. And I think that, the whole, not to open up this can of worms, but the whole banning abortion
Mhm.
or restricting it, maybe that's the old way, just hanging on and still trying to just fight not to die, not to pass away. What do you think?
Agreed. And I do an astrology podcast on this very network, 5D Presents, and it's called Star Nation Oracle. And my friend Sybil was talking about this exact energy that's happening in the stars. Now, you'll have to excuse my bad vocabulary with astrology, but something like Saturn is being squared with Neptune. Saturn is the status quo, the rule maker, the routine. What we have as Uranus is breaking down that, the hive mind, the psychic mind, the telepathic mind. So they're squaring off. We got the new and the old just squaring off, and you
Mm.
can feel it on the planet. And you can see with things like this that we're talking about, the control space, how it dies hard. It takes a while. I see it in every day, and apparently it's happening in the stars too. But if you want more details, just check out Star Nation Oracle.
On 5D Presents. So it's interesting that we were talking about the control issues that guys have. It's based on insecurity. But in this case, it shows that it's universal, because I'm thinking that this situation is about a woman who's concerned that her best friend will be angry because her best friend's ex is hitting on her. So, I mean, it can definitely go both ways. It just, men own it. And we're back with topic 2. And topic 2 says, I've started liking my boyfriend's friend more than I like my boyfriend. And he hasn't done anything wrong. It's just shifted. And to make things worse, we've gotten engaged. So my fiance's friend, I'm starting to like more than my fiance. Whew. What do you think about that one, Jenny?
Well, first of all, break the engagement at the very least, because what you're getting hits of is that you're not done playing the field. The idea of settling down right now when you're having these feelings would be unwise. There's nothing wrong with these feelings. That's why they're there, so you can know and guide yourself with your intuition and discernment. Sometimes the feelings there are there for other reasons, but that's ultimately what they're there for. So she's getting engaged and not fully in love with her partner. She needs to look at why she's doing that. Does she have scarcity issues? Does she think she can only exist with a man? She could look at herself and say, why am I staying in this permanent situation when it's clear that it's already shifted and it'll likely shift again?
Mm.
So yeah, she needs to take a look at what she wants for real, and not just go with societal pressures, which is quite often why people find themselves engaged and having a baby by the time they're 25. I don't even think
Yeah.
you're grown till you're like 35
Or
most of the
40
time.
or 55, depending on if you're a guy. So she's already engaged. I believe that sometimes people think that they love this person, only to find out later that maybe they like someone else even more. I think it can happen. I think, maybe she entered into this engagement with good intentions. I think what causes it to not just be a no-brainer, hey, you like this person more, explore with that person. But maybe the complication is, what are people going to think about me? We've been engaged. And to what degree does a committed relationship have to survive the outside forces that could destroy them? Like, here's this more attractive person, isn't it normal that, hey, we're committed? Here's this more attractive person who, my biology is jumping off, but I need to say no and walk away from that because I have this commitment. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that you can enjoy chemistry and it doesn't have to be inappropriate and you can have camaraderie with people that you have chemistry with. But she's like attracted, like likes him better, not just he's hotter or makes more money. She
True.
sounds like she's into him. And this is a clear indication that she just needs to play the field a little longer. People hate playing the field. It's stressful and vulnerable to date. I get it. But
Hmm.
don't settle and don't. The divorce rate's already like 60%. Something needs to be done here. That's why we're doing this podcast. Clearly, there's
Yeah.
problems in relationships.
Yeah. Get out. I mean, you're not fully committed. So now
Mhm.
is the time to get out. Or you may have regrets later. Today's show is brought to you by 5D Presents, a podcast network for all your healing needs. So we're back, and here we are with topic number 3. We usually try to get 3 topics in for your entertainment and healing. And topic number 3 says, I love my wife, but I really want a threesome with my wife and our single next door neighbor. But I think that if I tell my wife, she'll end the relationship. But not telling her is driving me crazy. I've even considered just having an affair with the neighbor. Hmm.
Yeah, don't have an affair. This is just messing with integrity and karma. You don't want to come back next lifetime as a cheated on woman over and over, do you? So, what I would suggest is talking to a professional. If he doesn't think that his wife can manage what he has to unload, double entendre, then he needs
Mm.
to go pay someone who can manage that and who is professionally trained. There's a bunch of us out there, bunch and bunch. So it looks like he's got some sort of fetish or craving or whatever you want to call it. And that's normal. So let's just nix all the shame and guilt that sits around that and just unfold it and dissect it. Now, once he talks to a professional, he might feel comfortable enough with his own desires to bring it up on some level to his wife, or maybe even bring her into a session with his counselor so that they can discuss it on some level grounds. Now, we can't determine and predict, even as a psychic, what other people's egos are going to flare at. She may take it better than you think. She might take it
Hmm.
worse. And that's what relationships are all about, is managing each other and yourself and helping each other through. So I would say if they're connected, he might have to sit with her for a little while and help her bolster the idea that he's into this. She's going to take it, likely, if she's against it, take it as an offense, take it as a direct insult. And he's then going to have to um, bolster her and help her move through something that he's being honest with. And so again, there might have to be some professionals. He can also talk to a counselor, realize that maybe it's just a passing phase, and the lingering of the craving kind of goes away, and then he doesn't have to bring anything up to his wife. So,
Ah, interesting.
meaning it was a passing feeling, and everyone has those, and we don't have to bring every single little thing up to everybody in our lives, especially if it's passing, unless we want to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, help. He needs help.
Yeah, he certainly does. Especially if she can't handle what he's unloading. I love that one. Uh, I think relationships are about, among other things, surviving challenges. If you're going to be an enduring relationships survive challenges. It's not that they don't have them; they just survive them. I think that if he's going to bring it up, if it's that persistent that he really needs to bring it up, he doesn't feel like it's going to pass quickly, he should absolutely do so with care, and by all means, do not mention the next door neighbor. Don't do that, because that could potentially create some serious issues. The wife could become paranoid. I don't want to leave him home because I don't know what he's going to do. Just, it can cause a lot of insecurity. So if you need to bring it up, there's tactful ways to do it. um but not, I think he should be really careful. Ask her how she feels about it, but not necessarily tell her that he's struggling with the idea. He wants it so badly. because, plus, you're going to live in fear. You might as well throw it out there. It's scary, but let her know how you really feel. And if she dumps you, then maybe that was what was meant to be, which is not easy to hear. People don't want to hear that. People want fixes that allow them to get what they want, solve this, but let me get my way as well. So, hey, talk to her. She doesn't like it and she dumps you, then, survive it. Life is about surviving our feelings and challenges. And then you'll be open to talk to the sexy neighbor.
And he could be surprised. She could be just really wanting the other neighbor on the other side's husband, So maybe they can have an open conversation about desires too.
Have a
So he
block
could be
party.
surprised.
They could have a block party. I want that neighbor. You get this neighbor, and we'll make it happen.
I think that happened in the 70s and 80s. I've been watching documentaries about that time, and I was too young to know about this at that point, but I've been hearing that it was Swing Nation in the 80s.
Yeah, I kind of started that. But as we grow and learn, this episode is brought to you by 5D Presents. This is a podcast network. So the reason we keep bringing it up is that if you enjoy this podcast, you quite possibly could enjoy some of the other podcasts that we have on this network. Give them a listen, check it out. So it looks like we have enough time to do another bonus question, and let's do it quickly. This one is on a totally different vein. This guy says, I scared my girlfriend and I don't know what to do. So they were in an argument and it was a heated argument. He got angry and he punched the wall next to her face, holding the wall. And now she's just like petrified to be around him. And has been apologizing and weeks have gone by and she's just damaged, traumatized. What do you think?
Well, as she should be. That is disturbing and scary. And she could have like brain injuries if she's a small woman getting hit by a man. So
Wait,
this
he
is
didn't hit her.
no,
He
but he
punched.
was right next to her head. I mean,
Right.
her face could be next. He has anger issues.
Yeah.
So she has right to feel stress and anxiety because what he's doing is he's apologizing for behavior, which is just putting band-aids on things, as opposed to seeking professional help for his anger issues. These are not going to get better untreated.
Yeah.
Life doesn't get easier when you age, especially if they're a young couple and don't have the responsibilities of mortgages and, children, things of this nature. So no, red flag. This is not a circus. Turn around and go back.
Yes.
And he's apologizing in the way that we've been told to apologize and everything should be okay, which is just false news. Hey, just say you're sorry. Everything's fine. No, everything's not okay. What would be okay is he apologizes, gets help, brings her maybe even in on the counseling so they can work on it with a counselor, and then prove that he's doing something about it as opposed to this Band-Aid crap. Red flag all day. Run, girl.
Yeah, because it is an issue. Because normal people or people who don't have the issue don't just lash out and punch walls close to their girlfriend's faces.
Right.
So that's not, if you're not looking for that type of relationship, you should table it and or let it go whatever way you choose to, because if not, and the next punch is to your arm and then comes the slap. This is how the snowball rolls down the hill. It starts where it starts, but oftentimes it can escalate. But it's interesting that the guy has asked this question, what do I do? Well, you have to respect how she feels in her process, and if she decides to let you go, you got to let you go. But once again, people ask these questions and they really want a solution to their problem while still getting their way. So if it were her asking the question, it would be like, well, why are you still there? Why are you still there? Because I really like him, and okay, your safety is on the line. So you want to solve the problem, but still get your way, which is not unusual.
Nope.
So I guess maybe next time, tune in next time, and we can talk about having your cake and eating it too, because I don't think that's unrealistic. I don't think that's so unrealistic. Do you? Can people have their cake and eat it too?
Sure, but they can't have all the cakes and eat all of them. They can have some of their cake and, give it away and store some in the freezer for another time and stuff. But yeah, I think it's a
Right.
give and take.
Can't have all the cake,
Mm-hmm.
greedy. So
Mm-hmm.
you can have your cake and eat it too, just don't be greedy. So, okay, I think I had a great time today. I hope the listeners did too. How about you, Jenny?
Always a pleasure. Love answering the questions. Love the energy. I had a great time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Advice for Lovers podcast. Visit us on the web at adviceforlovers.com. Today's show has been brought to you by 5D Presence, a podcasting network that brings you a variety of podcasts to assist you on your journey to fulfillment and happiness. We hope to see you in our next episode.